sent you my original request, and you were so gracious. By the way, things are like going a place with mom's dementia that I'm at a loss. So I was like, well, I met Joanna, and I've started chapter 1 and 2 of your series. I'm just gonna start asking you questions, and maybe you can help guide of what to do kind of next.
Sure. Yeah.
So I think the first question I had was just this overnight anger, like when she wakes up and she's just agitated. I don't know how to respond to her. And I was listening to what you said about responding, and I don't want to lie to her and ignore. Sometimes I feel like I ignore what she says because I'm afraid her response is going to make her more mad. But how do you handle the agitation with someone when you wake them up, or they say, like, get the hell out of my room, which you said in your video, which apparently happens more than I know. But what would you suggest? How do I handle her?
So, I mean, it really depends on what she likes. I mean, if you know that you have someone that's agitated or crabby in the morning time, I always try to do something immediately when I go in. Like, for example, go in singing, "Oh, what a beautiful morning. Oh, what a beautiful day." Like something like if she likes music. For other people, we've done, where we like open the curtains and we do it little by little, like every 15 minutes go in. One time we open the curtains, and then the next time, we say, it's good morning, it's a beautiful day out. And then the next time we come in and kind of take the covers off a little bit. So kind of do it little by little. For other people, it's like a cup of coffee. You bring them a cup of coffee the way they like it. "Hey, Mom, I brought you this coffee. I got a special kind of creamer for you, and just wanted to say good morning. I'm so excited to see you." So sometimes if you come in with a really, really like overly positive approach, sometimes they'll warm up to you.
Do you think that the agitation is, I was looking at all your different stages that you had. I'm afraid, it's not like she's gonna, maybe she will hit someone, but she flails a little bit.
Yeah.
And I get nervous with her being here and having people that come in and help wake her up, that she's physically gonna hurt them.
Yeah.
Does
Well,
it mean
anyone that does dementia care should know that people swing. That's just a thing. I mean, it's pretty common, to be honest. When you do dementia care, usually you learn how to duck pretty good.
So add it to the that's a good one.
But what is it? Has she ever been is this a normal thing for her? Like, has she always kind of been crabby in the mornings? How's she sleeping at night?
So that's those are two good things. So one is she has never been a morning person. So
Okay.
so that I know, like, I go in there prepared for Sue the Beast, so to speak, because she's never liked the morning, so she's just
Yeah.
not comfortable. But I've looked, so I have I'm not going to say her name, Alexa, because I have a
Okay. Yeah.
in my office and it'll go off, but she has one in her room that's connected to her light. And,
Okay.
and so she talks to it, and I can see on the app how many times she talks. So like last night, she was, and she does that rapid fire question thing that you talked about. And, I call it cluster questioning, but she will ask Alexa to turn her light on and then off in a matter of minutes. And I can see last night she was up till about 3:30. And I don't know. I don't think she was sleeping. I can see when she sleeps because there's no conversation, like when she turns the light off and then on. Or right now she's asking questions. She loves to ask about Tennessee Titans because she used to live in Nashville. Unfortunately, I have to keep reminding her the season's over for them. But she's not sleeping. And I don't know, do I take the Alexa out of there? I don't want to
Has
take
she always had a hard time sleeping?
No,
Okay.
She can sleep like 12, 14 hours. Like she can
When
go,
when did she first start not sleeping? Is this a newer thing?
yes.
So she might be moving into stage, like she might be moving into stage 6 where they have a big behavior change and a sleep change. So at this point in time, if she's not sleeping, she's gonna need meds. Like there's not really any like homeopathic. I mean, you can start with melatonin. It doesn't always work. You can use the marijuana gummies, but you're in Texas, so that's hard.
It's all right.
Uh,
I ordered some. We can get some versions of it. I read what you said. I don't, I'd rather try that. I mean, personally, I've taken a sleeping pill and I wish I never freaking started. So I don't want to,
yeah. Well,
and
the one that you can try is trazodone, which is not actually a sleeping pill. It's an antidepressant that has that makes you sleepy, and so it's not habit forming.
I'm going off my little topics a little bit, but when you were talking about the different stages, the one odd thing about mom is her incontinence. She's wet herself a few times. The woman goes to the bathroom every 20 minutes anyways, because she's, either forgets she's already gone, but she doesn't wet herself a lot. Now, her bathroom skills, I don't know if you call it that, like where she has hygiene and stuff,
Yeah.
that's been slipping and getting worse and worse and worse, where she just doesn't wash her hands, doesn't recognize the dirt. But I don't know, and maybe not everybody's textbook, but does the incontinence sometimes just not happen?
Sometimes, especially if, because I mean, incontinence is forgetting you have to go. So if she's just going every 20 minutes, then she's not being incontinent because she's just making it to the toilet without forgetting.
Okay. All right. All right. So the sleeping, it might just be time for meds. So, this is probably the hardest piece of it is, so when dad died, which has been a year and a week, they did not ever want to go to a nursing home, and I'm way older, I feel older than you, but nursing homes to me were, when we used to visit them in the late 80s, were disgusting. They
Oh, I'm
smelled like
sure. Yeah.
urine. I used to go in there, and I had a very close relationship with both sets of grandparents, like loved them to death. And I would go in there, but if they didn't want to go, I was like, all right, fine, mom and dad. Of course, they should never have lived on their own for the last 4 years, but I promise, I was like, all right, I'm going to take care of mom, and I didn't want to put her in a home. But now we're at a point, she lives at the top of the stairs, she's not a real wanderer, because she just doesn't want to get out of bed sometimes, and she's never done that. But I've kind of put a gate up in the hallway, and I have a camera in there, but I don't, and this is where I know you can't tell people, they have to make their own decision, because it's not, it's our burden. But how do you know when you say she'd be better served in a memory care facility, and I'm just holding on because of something I have? What
Yeah.
would you tell people that? That was a long
Well,
question, I know, sorry.
I think, it's a lot of times we promise things that we can't really uphold. I mean, the thing is, when you know it's time for her to go, is she sleeping most of the day for you, even though you have the caregivers in there?
So no, she just wants to go to bed earlier, and she's got a little bit of a passive aggressive personality, which I realized is really not, when she said they can't entertain themselves.
Yeah.
That was a huge eye opener, because she always asks me if she sits there by herself too long, and she has like an old iPad that she calls the Kindle, and she just will play the Scrab Wars with friends over and over and over. And I'm like, the woman has 8 vowels and an X. I have no idea how she's playing Scrabble, but anyways, she does.
Good for her
But
brain.
yeah, she does. But she just wants to go to bed earlier and earlier. So she doesn't like doze off during the day at all. She'll either just not get up till 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and then she
Yeah.
wants to go to bed at 7 or
Hmm.
6:30 sometimes.
Yeah. That's pretty common. Sometimes we try to just keep pushing it back like a half an hour, but I think the thing about, I mean, it's not going to be every place, but if you're talking about Bella Groves, they have a 1-to-4 ratio, and then they're like doing activities with them most of the day. So a lot of families think, well, that's nice that they do activities, but like my mom's not going to do any because she doesn't do any at home. And I had families say that to me all the time at Memory Lane. But the thing is they do them because they're out in the living room area with them, with the people during the day. And so when other people around you are doing stuff, there's a little bit of peer pressure to do it with them. And the staff at Bella Groves are very trained in dementia, and so they know how to approach it in a way that she would want to do it. So I would say sometimes for stimulation, I mean, because it's very hard for someone that's working and has caregivers in the house and stuff to be able to stimulate to her to the level she needs to be right now, right? It's just really a hard thing to do.
Yeah.
And was she like a social person?
No, no.
Yeah.
But when she first moved here, she'll go with my mother-in-law. My husband's younger, and so his mother's much younger, and she'll drive her to bingo, and she loves that.
Okay.
If I sit with her and talk to her about music, I realize I am not a good social director, though, like you said, where it's not that she won't do them. I'm working 12 hours a day, and
Yeah.
I'm just
It's
not
just different.
activity central,
I
right?
mean, when you have someone that's doing all the things and caregiving versus when you have a caregiver that all they're doing is caregiving, it's just different.
Yeah.
And they're
Yeah.
not doing it 24/7. They're doing it 8, maybe 12-hour shifts. I don't know how they schedule them. So, it's just different when you can get a break and then come back and put that brave face back on and get the activities going again.
Yeah. And TV, like you said, is not an activity. And after she was here the first 30 days, I was like, if I have to pick another movie for us to watch tonight, because she did seem to enjoy us watching a movie and talking about it. I, of course, think that's after 4 kids, it's the worst babysitter ever, but I'd watch them with her, but I couldn't watch, I was like, this is not real stimulation.
Did you see my video on YouTube?
All I've done is I watched your intro on dementia on your website, and I've done the 2 chapters on the training, chapter 1 and 2, which I only got 80% on each test. I wasn't listening very good.
Oh. Well, YouTube is a good option for entertainment because it has short videos and you can pick anything that she might like Dancing with the Stars or babies laughing or baby kittens or anything hole in one for golf if she was a golfer, like literally everything and anything. YouTube has it, and they're going to be like 10 to 20-minute videos or shorter, but they'll then play another one. So sometimes that can keep their attention a lot better. I mean, most of the time that can keep their attention better if it's in short spurts. And like a book, like have you ever heard of the Blue Day book?
No.
So there's a series of books. The first one was a Blue Day book, and then there was other ones, but it's a square book, so they can hold it in their hand pretty good. And then it has like one sentence and then a picture of an animal. And then the next one is and it's like some kind of like a profound thing, like it's okay to have a blue day, or something like kind of
Oh,
like that. Um, and that can sometimes be good for them to look through. Like if you start looking through it with her, then she might turn some of the pages. I mean, there's things I can give you that you could do with her that the caregivers could do with her one-on-one. But I think, you just have to kind of tell me about the caregivers you have. What hours do they come in?
so I haven't come in anywhere from 10:30 to noon. She will not wake up before 11 o'clock. Like
That's okay.
I've agreed to. I just not fighting it because I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, whatever.
I mean, to
Um,
be honest, I wouldn't want to wake up before 11 o'clock if I was 80 with dementia. Like I
no.
just,
So she had MS, by the way, and didn't. The dementia thing started. hmm, I'm trying to get a pinpoint in my head of when, but it's probably been 9, 10 years ago.
hmm
It started with her. She was a nurse. She was an orthopedic nurse, um, and then she was going to get fired because she kept repeating herself and forgetting what she said.
Oh,
And that's when I knew. I was like, Mom, go back into your HR person, you tell them you have a disability, because I didn't want them to fire her, and they ended up giving her a long term or whatever. But that was kind of the beginning.
Okay.
About a year and a half later, she went missing. She went to the post
Oh no.
office, and 24-hour later, we got a phone call from, they live in Nashville, and she had made it all the way down to Mobile, Alabama, which is about 9 hours south of Nashville. And the state trooper called, and that was the last. She got in a car accident. Thank God she was alive.
Yeah.
But that was the end of the driving.
Yeah.
And that was 5 years ago. It'll be 5 years ago, and things have kind of slowly kind of progressed, and in then Dad passed last January, and the last year she's been with us. I see a lot of the things where she doesn't know what to do with, like forks, knives. Sometimes I watch her watch me. And I've always said, I try not to start any sentence with, don't you remember?
Hmm.
Or, you know what a fork's for. I think it's belittling to her.
It
And
is. Yeah.
so, when you said the respect, I just try to start using my fork and let her watch me, and then she
Yep.
mimics, right?
That's good. That's
Um,
called mirroring. So they do really well
oh,
with that.
mirroring, see.
And that's why at my homes I had the staff eating with them when they ate, because it would show them to eat and remind them to eat, and they would eat better with them, because it's kind of awkward having someone just sit there that isn't eating with you. It's like going out to a
It
restaurant with someone that sits there or stands over you. It's like weird, right?
it is weird, and we try to have meals with her. But so I have two healthcare workers. One, and this is just kind of the way it happened, is she was cleaning my house for the last, I don't know, 6 months. Um, she said I worked and then when I moved Mom in, she goes, I worked at Memory Care for a year. The woman is extremely patient. She's 26, 27. Um, Takes Mom however long it's gonna take Mom to take a shower, that's how long they take. I mean, so
Good.
she's very, very good with her. She takes her out and takes her to, the walk and
Yeah.
stuff. She's good. She not necessarily, has a bunch of activities, but she tries, and stuff. Then but I also know I don't want her to work 7 days a week. They need breaks. And so she works 5 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday. 11 to 6:30, 7:30. Sometimes she'll stay if I ask her to put Mom to bed, because that gets exhausting. And then the other lady is from a home health agency, and she's about the same age as Mom at 75, but I know they don't train them on dementia, because I can hear now when they say things to me, or how they react. And the woman was a nurse, and she's very smart. They just don't know. And I'm like,
Yeah.
well, my new
You don't know what
requirement,
you don't know.
yeah, my new requirement is I need to make them all take your course,
Yeah.
because they should, right? And I'm just
Yep.
going to make it a standard. But so I only have two workers, and then I usually do Sundays. It's becoming a little bit too much, I'd say, Joanna. I just don't know how to have the conversation with her, and I don't know what to do about her cat, because they're not going to take the cat, and I think that would.
I don't
My
know. You
mother's
should
so stubborn.
talk to James about it, because I feel like they took another animal, but I would talk to James. I don't know if they will or not.
Because I think it would crush. I think that it would make her slide downhill faster than even my dad going, is the cat. If I tell her that cat died, I think that'd be a horrible thing to do.
Well, I think no, I wouldn't do that. I would say that the cat lives with you and then bring it to visit or something, or like maybe one of the caregivers might take it or something and then bring it to visit. They make it. This seems silly, but they make these robotic cats. I did a video on one, and they're on Amazon. I can send you a link for it. It's like you can get 5% off of it's called Percy, and it's really, really good one. They have them in black and tan. And we had a lady that had a cat at home and was like obsessed with her cat. And this is exactly what her family thought too. Like, oh my gosh, there's no way she can be without her cat. Well, we got her one of those robotic cats, and she actually liked that thing more because it sat in her lap and it purrs and it has a heartbeat, and they just sit there and talk to the thing all day, and then
All
it
day.
gives you a break.
Okay. So I notice your theme is not lie to them or avoid questions. It's how I respond or how I tell them different things. I still don't know how to even start the conversation of you're moving.
The way I would, well, it depends on the person really, and it's not like you're gonna have like a full blown like, let's have an understanding here. I need this, you need this, we need to do this kind of thing. So I mean, most of the time, I tell families don't even tell them until the day before or the day of, because you're just going to have the conversation multiple times, and it's going to be the
Multiple.
same exact one. And that's just going to be hard for you, and they're not going to remember it. So it's just going to be harder for you. I mean, you could go the route, mom, I have a place that I have a place that my friend has, and there's a lot of people your age there, and they play bingo and they do other activities like that. And I think you might like it better than here because I know you get bored and I'm so busy. You could do kind of that route, or you could go, Mom, I really need more help, and I'm worried that I'm not going to be able to provide the kind of care that you need here, and I need someone, a professional, to be able to help me. And you could go that route. You could go a route where you could go a short-term route where you say, Mom, we're going to try this out and see how it goes. And if it doesn't go well, we can revisit it. Or, Mom, I'm going to go on vacation for a week, and I need to, have you stay somewhere for a week, and then kind of just keep extending it. I mean, there's a lot of ways to go about it. It really depends on the person and your relationship and what she likes and that kind of stuff. But what you're not really going to ever get is like, okay, Tracy, that sounds good. I'm happy with that.
uh, I, so I mean, obviously I don't, I hate that she'll forget 5 seconds later, but I can put her in a car and take her anywhere and, go check it out.
Yeah, you might
I'm,
want to try bringing her there during an activity or lunch is what I usually suggest, and see how she does.
and just say we're going to lunch and just
Yeah,
take
just
her
say we're
with
going to
me.
lunch with some friends, or we're going to a fun activity with some friends of yours.
So I'm going to breakfast with James Thursday, and then we're doing the whole tour thing on Thursday. There were two other memory care places that one of the home health workers was screening them for me. She went and visited like 6 places, and I said, if any of them smell like urine, that's a
No.
no-go. It's
Yeah.
like I can't do it. It's the worst memory I have. And so she said these three all smelled bad, and she goes, and really, they weren't memory care. It was like they were assisted living that decided to add on
A
a
lot to it.
memory care that, I never wanted to be an expert at this, Joanna,
Yeah.
whatsoever. But I'm like, so I'm always like, I'll just ask people, which is why I'm like, I'll just talk to Joanna and ask her opinion, because this is one thing. I'm like, hand up. If I were mom, I'd be bored as hell living at my house. I would rather live with a bunch of people that are doing things all day, like day in and day out. She says to me, this is horrible, she said lately. She goes, I'm just up here alone. Nobody, everyone hates me. I should just move. And I'm like, Mom, I don't think anybody hates you. And that's correct. You're in this room alone, but now we're here together. I mean, it takes every creative brain cell I have sometimes to respond, but it crushes me when she says I'm alone. And I really couldn't, I didn't know until I watched your video yesterday. Is it my mother? Because it is my mother's personality was not a very nice, she was not a super nice woman. She wasn't abusive or nasty. She just wasn't like charismatic. And so I don't know if she's being like she used to be, where I'll just be passive aggressive, or if it's more the dementia is I do feel alone, and I'm trying to tell you I feel alone. And I can't distinguish, but it hurts. Like it really hurts when she says those things.
Yeah, it is hard when you're giving it your all, and yet it doesn't feel good enough for the person, even though you're giving more than you have to give, right? she doesn't know that. That's her broken brain talking. That's not your mom talking. That's her broken brain talking. And she probably feels lonely because she doesn't really know everything that's going on all the time. She doesn't realize what you're doing or what the caregivers are doing. So sometimes she is going to feel alone. But
Um,
that shouldn't be a negative for you, like, Tracy, why aren't you doing more for me kind of thing, even though it feels like that. But I mean, I have people that visit their families visit their families every single day or live with their families, and they still say, you never visit me. I'm so alone. No one loves me, and, kind of thing, and that's just because they forget. They just simply forget.
yeah. So are you familiar with San Antonio?
I've been there twice three times now for a conference that James puts on.
Okay. So there were there are two memory care facilities in Kerrville, which is about 45 minutes to an hour for me. And we went out there Friday, and I play golf not well, but my husband and I went to play, and we're playing, and I'm like, this is too far. And they were the two best ones, by the way, so far before the Bella Groves. And I'm like, if I want to see her, because in my head, I'm like, I better go there every other day. Like, and if she's an hour away, this is horrible. And
How
it,
far is
it
Bella Groves from you?
it's probably 35, 40. It's not bad.
Okay.
It's a nicer type drive. And frankly, the place seems more in tune to what you said. Like, they're not an add-on memory care to an assist. They really are memory care. That's what they specialize in. I didn't realize how much I was spending on the home health folks for
Yeah,
mom to even
gets
be
expensive.
here. And I do the night. I've been since she moved here. I do the night where I put her to bed. I
Mm-hmm.
start getting nervous lately because I'm like, oh my God, is she going to start trying to wander around? And I don't know if that's not everybody wanders. And I know you said that that's what we call someone with memory issues, but she hasn't come out of that room at night at all. I guess she did once while I was on a trip, but she doesn't do that. But if she does, she might fall this, I don't want to make it an
Yeah.
excuse though to put her in an
No, I mean that's a very legitimate thing though. I mean, that's very legitimate. I mean, she could start getting up out of bed. They don't all, but sometimes they do, especially if she's having this much trouble sleeping. I mean, you could combat that with I mean, you can combat almost anything with between meds and educating your caregivers and including more activities. But you also have to think about yourself. And I mean, there does come to a point where we all have limits within ourselves, and we can't keep pushing. Like, I know what it feels like to keep pushing that limit and pushing it and pushing it, and eventually you do break.
close. I'm not quite there, but I feel I'm close.
Yeah.
It's all right. This is the hard part of the question is there is no doubt that I'm guessing she slides down when she gets moved. Like, she gets worse.
Not always though.
Okay.
Sometimes
So
I have seen people improve at my homes. People actually improved. They didn't get worse because of the amount of attention and engagement that they got. They actually got better and were more engaged and slept better because they were doing more during the day. So they don't always decline when you move them. I mean, it's a big change for them, but if they have the right care, that's what it's all about. That's why I tell you, like, it's nice that these places have these beautiful chandeliers and they have, the three-piece band and a chef and all that, but it doesn't really matter if they don't have the one-on-one care that people need and the engagement and activities. I think a lot of like you're gonna realize the feeling you get when you move in when you go into Bella Groves is the feeling you're looking for because it feels more like home.
okay. Um,
We used to call memory lane a home away from home for people. That's what we used to call it for them.
well, you did open my eyes that it isn't the end, or I don't know how you quite phrased
Yeah.
it, is it's just a different life. I mean, I gotta imagine that black space in her head is scary, and she's trying to find memories, and she's looking for, I make in my head, they're like little envelopes of memories, and she can't find them, and she doesn't know where they are, and it's scary.
Very, yeah.
It, but I don't want her to think I've abandoned her, and I'm sure that's going to happen, and I have to brace myself. I'm going to hear that. I haven't even started thinking about half the stuff I'm going to hear from her when I go see her. I guess I'm afraid she won't know. No, I'm the one who grounds her, I guess, Joanna. So like through all this with my dad and her is I can get her back on track. I mean, I can't make, it go away, but I get her back on track. And I personally I didn't want that necessarily to be her rock or her
Yeah.
grounding. I don't know if I'm,
Sometimes the anticipation of what's going to happen is way worse than actually what happens.
that's fair. Probably should have a counseling session, right? So when we move people in the first week, I'm like in my head, like, oh, I should go there every day. And then I'm like, I don't know. I was thinking I used to visit my grandfather every day on the way to work. And um, he was 92, different situation. But I'm was his buddy, and we joked, and I made it fun. And you have a different relationship, I think, I did with my grandparents and my
Yeah.
mother. I and I'm the only one that has to make the choice, by the way. This is not like a committee of family members. They lost their vote when after Dad died. When I asked them to come visit, they haven't. And I was going to buy their flight. They have declined. So
Hmm.
this is not a committee decision. Which probably makes it even harder, Joanna. But I,
Yes and no. Imagine having to fight with multiple siblings about where she goes and when she goes and how she goes and who does what. And it's hard to be alone, but it's hard to be with people who don't agree with you either.
that's true. That's true. The pet is going to be the hardest for me. I think I can even have the conversation. I like your idea going out and having lunch with her. Let me make sure I don't take. Um, what I guess anything else? Well, one, is there any safety things? And I don't know if she's stage 6, but she still eats. I can tell when she hates my food because she doesn't eat it, and I bet there's better food at Bella Grove than I'm cooking, so that's fine.
I
But
doubt it.
she is I'll send you some screenshots of what she asks the ALEXA, but I'm starting to get nervous before I move her for her safety or at night. I don't have anybody up there during the night. Are there things I should worry about though right now for her
Do you have a
safety?
camera in there?
I
That's
just put one in there.
okay. Then I would say that's probably good. I mean, you could also do like if she does start to wander or to prevent it, do you close her door at nighttime or is it open?
Nope, close it.
So on Amazon, they make these little alarms that are real easy, and it's like a magnet, and when you open it, it alarms. So then you could just
Oh,
hear it alarm, so you know if she left her room.
I used to do that for when I have 4 kids, and when I had my youngest, I did it on all the doors, and I took them all down. I totally forgot those yeah, they were just magnets, and they beeped, right?
Yep,
Okay.
yep.
Um,
And sometimes they'll even prevent them from leaving the room because they go, "Oh, that's an alarm. Alarm is like no, no, so I should turn around." Sometimes.
okay. Um, this has been so helpful. I guess sometimes just having someone to tell you that you're not losing it and that your decisions that you're making are you're not I'm not giving up. That's part of the
No, not
thing.
at all. You're doing what's best for you both, and that's important. You can't only think about her. I mean, you know the statistics about the amount of caregivers that end up getting sick or even like a husband and wife, like one of them the caregiver dies before the person because it's so stressful.
That is so in my house right now, there is me, my husband, mom, my 14-year-old daughter. I got remarried and we had a child, and my 24-year-old finished grad school and is living with us until she moves. So it's the four of us, or whatever that is, five of us. I have ignored, I guess, and or maybe not considered how much impact, one, I think it's having stress on the marriage, but also my
Yes.
14-year-old. I mean, I don't, the last 2 weekends, I'm like, Reese, you really can't have anybody over. Grandma gets real suspicious when you're upstairs, and no matter how many times I tell, I'm like, Mom, they're not in your room. I proactively just tell her that, but I haven't even wanted to know the stats on maybe what stress it's doing to the family besides. I'll get over it. I am, I'm Teflon sometimes, but I don't know if I want to know the stats on what stress it does to the other people in the house.
Yeah.
It's probably bad, isn't it?
It can be, yeah. I mean, anything like this amount of, I mean, it really depends on the family and the people. Sometimes I think it can be a good thing for kids to grow up with a grandmother with dementia because then, they're much more sensitive to elders and they can learn redirection techniques, which are good for kids and all kinds of other things
Yeah.
that you learn. But, it really depends. I mean, then if it's like something where it's starting to affect your marriage and your child feels like maybe you have to give mom more attention or something like that. Sometimes that stuff can be tough too.
People, I feel it's like, well, everyone is like staying away from the house because
Mm-hmm.
grandma's always here.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that's, well, I'm not even sure. It's just a reality. It's like, mom, I mean, she's here. Where else is she going to go? Right. I mean, we
Yeah.
can take her out for activities, but grandma is always here. And they didn't grow up with, cookie baking grandma down the road. I mean, my parents came in and out and visited a few times here or there. Well, she's now been here, for 380 days straight, and this is a new world. And I feel everybody goes to their room or leaves because our social area is grandma's social area, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And you know, so you are wonderful. I wish a year ago I would have had your courses because I would have made every person that took care of mom, make it mandatory to go through. Not that I think they did a bad job. We don't know what we don't know, but I think
You
those
don't know what you don't know. Yeah.
so helpful. And even the tools. So um, I don't know how you came up on my feed, Joanna, on LinkedIn, because you're not even close to the industry that I do my real job in, but I have a passion and purpose just because of what happened with my, parents and this whole thing. And I'm not going to let it go because I've watched how nasty people can be to elders and how hard it's been for me. And I, like you, had grandparents that I was like, I love, like they were my world, like and I just don't want mom to suffer. And I want her to be happy, and that's means something different to her than me. But I don't know,
I'll
you've
say
just
this.
been
I'll say
helpful.
this about Bella Groves. If there's any place I would put my mom in the whole world, except for because Memory Lane, my company's not good anymore because the owners are ruining it. Um, but if there's any, I would put her at Bella Groves because, and once you meet James, and hopefully you're going to meet Laura, the executive director. Laura's a good friend of mine, and she's probably one of the best people the kindest humans you'll ever meet. And she comes from an education background, but she's learning so much, and she, like both her and James, they're on the floor with the residents. They're not in their offices.
Oh,
They're on
that's
the floor. They're
huge.
with their team, and their team is trained, and they're continuously trained, and they have like a really good culture, and they care about their staff, and their staff feel that from them. I mean, it's it really is a special place. And yes, it's there's definitely can be some negatives to moving someone, but also there can be positives. Honestly, for every person that moved into Memory Lane, my homes, families were like, we wish we would have done this sooner.
It's just like hospice. My friends used to tell me, call him in sooner with my dad, and I didn't because he had
Yeah.
this negative connotation. But if I find the right one, it's got to feel that way. I don't want it to feel like I'm going back to 1988 nursing home, and
No.
so thank you, Joanna, and